Among those withheld files, Connor claims are 2 documents that he said the law was explicitly written to apply to. Criminal indictment of Epstein, drafted before he was given his sweetheart deal in the late 2000s, and an 82-page DOJ memo of Epstein's alleged crimes. An 82-page memo. Boss, they found all of his crimes. They summed them up, and it was 82 pages long. I don't know about you. I think my entire life could be summed up in less than 82 pages. If you wrote the Waldo autobiography, it might be less than 82 pages. I'm very boring. I haven't done that much. But this fool has 82 pages of straight up crimes. Oh, hi. Hello. How you doing? My name is Waldo, and I am here to feel the politics with you. How are you doing? I'm good. Thanks. It's been nice and cloudy and dark, just the way I like it. Makes me feel good in my heart when it gets dark at 3 p.m. I love it. It's fantastic. Nice and damp, nice and dark, clouds covering everything up. Epstein worked for Mossad. Yes, probably. I think he worked for a lot of people. Bida. Can I have the files? Well, everybody has the files. He was a spy for everybody. We'll get to it. Bida, thanks for coming. Thanks for telling us what you're thinking. I appreciate that. So if you are watching, hop in the chat, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling. We will look at some of the big headlines around the big stuff. Yeah, he was a real hoe. He was trading secrets with everybody. He was selling Donnie's secrets to Russia. He was selling Russian secrets to the American CIA. He was selling American secrets to Lithuania. He was selling everything to everybody everywhere. Did I see the new photos? I saw the ones that popped up yesterday, and I've got a few of those to look at today. If you've got a link to newer photos that happened within the last couple of hours, you can go on over to the Discord, and post links by all means. I'll take a look at them, assuming that they aren't. I mean, you post them on the Discord. I think that they're bad for stream and going to get me canceled. I won't put them up. But if you threw them up there and I haven't already got a link to them, I will bring them up. And if, I gotta test the things. You can't just post everything that somebody posts online. You know what I mean? By all means, head over there. Tell us what links you got, and I'll take a look at them. So yeah, that is the big news. Big news. Everybody knows. Everybody heard. Yesterday was the Trump Epstein release day. Very exciting. Very fun. Noam Chomsky is probably yeah, he probably is. That is sad, and I do appreciate the words that he's said in the past. I have read things that he has written and appreciated them. The way he talks, the way he thinks makes me feel good. I like it. But again, yeah, he got famous. And when you get famous, you start getting money. And when you get the money, you get the power. It's not good. When you get the power, you start thinking that you are above the law. You're above the rules. This is what happens to... Hell, this happens in so he's in a couple of photos. Yeah, not anything. He's not doing anything weird. He's on the island, shaking Jeffrey's hand. He's not in the pool with unidentified ladies the way Bill Clinton is. We'll look at that here in a sec. But yeah, Noam Chomsky is there. He met him. Maybe he met him for delightful philosophical reasons. Epstein was known to have weird philosophical ideas about bloodlines and ethnic diversity and things like that, and spreading his seed because he was so great. And that brings up 1,000 ethic issues that you could discuss with Noam Chomsky. Yeah, Steve Bannon's all over him, but we knew he was a piece of shit, and that doesn't surprise me at all. He was working with Epstein to rehabilitate his image and hold Donald Trump to some sort of blackmail. Steve Bannon worked with Epstein to talk about blackmailing Donald Trump into behaving the way they wanted him to. And my comment is, I'm a socialist, and I can appreciate the idea that communism is going for. It's just we have to baby step. We have to slowly move people toward this outcome. I don't want a war. I don't want a revolution. I don't want a giant overhaul. Slowly baby step people towards socialism. And then when it's functional and it stands on its own and it functions, if we move beyond that towards something more communist, if it works, I would call that progress. But baby stepping, we have to go slow. USA will become communist soon. I don't think so. I would appreciate that, but I don't think so.
Hello human, it is me, the algorithm. Press the subscribe button to make me happy.
So let's look at the Epstein files. Here they are, everybody. Here we go. Let's stop beating around the bush. Here are the Epstein files. Get a good look at them. There they are. So beautiful, so nice. Look at them all. Look at them. There they are. Gorgeous. 50, 60, 70, 80 pages, 90 pages, 100 pages blacked out, 110 pages blacked out, a million pages blacked out, forever, a million Epstein files blacked out forever, Morty, a million blacked out Epstein files forever, Morty, blacked out pages forever. And that's not a surprise. This is exactly what I expected. I expected lots and lots and lots of blacked out stuff. This isn't even like the individual lines and individual names. This is just entire pages. The files probably do have that, and they aren't going to release those. They will be held by the House of Representatives members and stuff like that, people on the committees. Maybe those things exist. It wouldn't surprise me if those exist. This, what we're looking at right here, is grand jury testimony, because it even specifically says grand jury right there. There. It says grand jury New York. Now, what is that? That is Ghislaine. That's Ghislaine Maxwell's grand jury information, entirely blacked out, because they are trying to protect her. Any videos may or may not pop up, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's Ghislaine's grand jury testimony, which by law they said they had to release. They haven't. What is going to happen with this? This is, here's some more. Here's a 1,000-yard view. I like this view. Look at this. This is all of it spread out over like a quilt kind of a thing. And you can see all the black pages. These are the black pages that we saw. These are all those black pages, the 100 black pages that we saw, 100 black pages. And then you see all this blacked out as well. And you see all this blacked out as well. You see a photo here. And then this is all blacked out. And there's blackout. So the black boxes. You can see the dark blacking out of here. So this is obviously a cover-up. And we all know it. We all know why. They're hoping that maybe you get your fill of the Bill Clinton photos and the Michael Jackson photo, and then you move on and forget. That's what they're kind of hoping for. So let's talk about the Epstein files release did nothing to clear up the scandal's biggest question, and I think this is correct. Some questions will never be answered, but there's one in the DOJ officials really can clear up if they want to, but they don't want to. Ghislaine Maxwell will say something one day. She can't be trusted. You see, the things that she says are going to be she will say whatever it takes to get herself out of prison. If Donald Trump is in charge, she will say that Donnie did nothing wrong to get out of prison. If Joe Biden is in charge, she will say that Donnie is a criminal so that Joe Biden will let her out of prison. If the next president is a Democrat, she will blame all the Republicans ever so that she can get out of prison. She is not to be trusted. She cannot be trusted. She is in a position of zero trust. Pam Bondi released them. Will modify the files. Someone needs to. The problem, and you're bringing up Bondi, and that's a good idea. Bondi needs to be held responsible, and she will be next president, and I can talk to you about that because where is our guy? Here he is. Here is Representative Thomas Massey. So he really wanted these out. He said that the future DOJ could criminally prosecute Attorney General Pam Bondi and others in the administration for breaking the law in regards to the Epstein Files Transparency Act. So this is a Transparency Act statement from Fox Digital, existing criminal statute. So this is a criminal statute redacted or to reduce embarrassment or reputational harm. The same redaction standards were applied to politically exposed individuals and the government officials. It's already been proven. Pam Bondi and the people responsible for releasing all these blacked out pages did this, and this is a crime. A future DOJ could convict Pam Bondi, and they probably might. Maybe. Will they do that? It's obvious that they did not comply with the law. As it stands right now, you don't get to sue her because she's in charge of the cops. You can't arrest Pam Bondi. She's in charge of the cops. She's in charge of the FBI. So nobody can hold her responsible for breaking the law. If the Attorney General of the United States breaks the law, nobody can stop her. Nobody can stop her because the FBI works for her. They're not going to arrest her. She'll just fire them and cancel their, stop paying them and get rid of them and then hire somebody else who lets her out, you know? So there's nothing you can do if the Attorney General is crooked. And remember the chart. I point to the chart all the time. This is the law now. I'm sorry, you don't have to appreciate it, but this is the law. You don't need Yanabida. This is now the law. I just sent you to law school. You can now get a law degree if you comprehend this very simple flowchart. Doesn't matter if it's true or what was written in the past or what the Supreme Court said in 1942. Doesn't matter. This is the law now, while Pam Bondi and Donald Trump are in charge. That's all there is to it. You can't change this. You can't argue with this. And everything in the Attorney General's office, everything in the FBI, everything in the CIA, everything within the federal law enforcement agency works off of this chart. That's all they do. It's the only rule they have. And what our friend Thomas Massey is telling us here is that chart won't stand forever. Maybe, if we're lucky, next president is a Democrat who actually holds people responsible, unlike Joe Biden, who put Merrick Garland in charge, and then Merrick Garland did nothing. He thought about Jan 6 real hard, and then put a whole bunch of evidence together, and then let the House talk about it on TV for a few hours, for a few weeks, honestly, and ask questions and stuff like that. And then when they had an answer, they did nothing with it. They wanted TV. I need law. I need order. I need people arrested, not just good TV. The reason the Democrats did that is because they don't want it to become a habit to arrest your former people in politics. Your predecessors within politics, don't arrest them, because then maybe I'll get arrested next time. We have gone beyond that. Donald Trump's committing crimes. Pam Bondi is committing crimes. They're doing things against the law. They need to be arrested and held responsible for it. He loved Israel a lot. He loved everybody a lot, yeah. He also invested in Israel company funded by, well, everybody has investments in Israeli companies. Epstein's money probably came from, well, they came from everybody who got blackmailed by him. Jeffrey Epstein was a blackmailer. That's how he did it. What was the guy's name? Matt Groening, something like that. He makes The Simpsons. He got invited onto Epstein's jet one time, and the way he tells the story, he got invited. He didn't really want to go. He went onto the jet. Epstein shows him all these fancy stuff. He's like, "Hey, look how crazy this is. Look how good this is. Would you like a glass of wine?" You don't say no, you know. And then he's like, "Oh, you want a massage?" And you don't say no. You just like, "Okay, great." And then he got a foot massage. And then after that, Epstein says, "Hey, that was a 17-year-old girl. And if you don't want me telling people that, if you don't want anybody knowing that, introduce me to your boss. Introduce me to the person above you on the food chain. Introduce me to the head of something at Fox. Introduce me, or bring someone richer than you onto my plane so that they can get a foot massage by a 17-year-old girl." You know, that's how he operated. He was a blackmailer. And if you didn't introduce him or bring someone else new into the club, he would leak to the press. "Oh, Matt had his feet massaged by an underage girl." You know, it sounds bad. So to avoid that, you paid him, or you brought new people, or you just did favors for him. That's how he operated. And then he'd have 2 things against you, and then he'd have 3 things against you, and then you'd bring somebody else, and then they would get their feet massaged by a 17-year-old girl, and then they would have to bring their own money. Yeah. Hi, Brummer. Thanks for coming. Giger, thanks for coming in. So, yeah, that is how he operated. And so he got money from people. He's like, hey, you don't want me to tell anybody about that massage you got? Give me some money. And so they'd give him some money. Help me fund this thing I'm building. Help me put together this thing that I'm doing. And he would sell stuff to the Mossad. He would sell things to the American CIA. He would sell all kinds of information to a lot of different people. I think that's why he never got by the American FBI. They had information on him, for sure. Here, let's look at this horrible, horrible thing. In case you hadn't seen it, where is bloop, 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 bloop? Here we go. The Epstein file documents say that Epstein allegedly threatened to burn a young woman's house down if she revealed that he had stolen and sold personal photographs she had taken of her sisters. Her sisters were 12 and 16 years old. So what this is a police report. And I think it's an FBI report, right? Okay, yeah. Subject's name and, yeah, it's actually bigger here. Character of cause child pornography. Great. Horrible. This is the complainant. This is the young woman who took the pictures, and she just took photos of her family, just normal photos, regular photos. You can take photos of people. The complainant, and we know exactly who this is, stated that she is a professional artist and took pictures of her sisters, 12 and 16 years old, for her own personal artwork, just normal photos. Epstein stole the photos and negatives and is believed to have sold the pictures to potential buyers. So he said, hey, I got these girls. You want some photos? Yeah, you want some photos? Epstein, at one time, requested the girl to take more pictures of young girls at swimming pools. Epstein is now threatening the girl that if she tells anyone about the photos, he will burn her house down. And this happened in the year of our Lord, 1996. 1996 this happened. The FBI knew about this in 1996. This girl apparently called the FBI, told them about these things, and they hung up on her because he is and was a spy working for the FBI. Why did the FBI not come after him for this? Because he was an informant. He found out who else was trading these things. The people who bought these photos had their names given to the FBI by Jeffrey Epstein. Stole the photos and negatives and is believed to have sold the pictures to potential buyers. Those potential buyers are known to the FBI because Jeffrey Epstein told them who the potential buyers were. And the FBI gave him favors for that. They didn't chase after him for these crimes that he was committing because he was turning in other criminals. That is how this spy game is played. You don't kill spies. If you find one, the FBI doesn't kill a spy when they find them. They pay them for information. That is how this game is played. You don't kill spies. If you find them within your kingdom, you pay them. You offer them favors for information, and they have it, and they'll do it. And if if the FBI starts paying them, then Mossad finds out that the FBI is paying him. Would Mossad kill him? No. They'll be like, hey, what'd you tell the FBI? Here's some money. And then the FBI finds out that Mossad has been paying him. And they're like, hey, what did you tell Mossad? Here's some more money. And then the CIA finds out that he's been paid by these people. They start paying him and be like, hey, what did you tell all these other guys? Tell us too. Tell us too is the game that he was playing. And that is how he got all his money. That is how he got all his power. That is how he got invited to all these fancy banquets. And then he would blackmail other people into inviting him to dinners, to inviting him to parties, inviting him to places. And then he would meet and he would schmooze and he would talk to these people and he would become friends with them and he would offer them stuff. You know, I've got a plane. I've got an entire island. Come hang out on my island. You can do whatever you want. And then he sold the stories of what happened there. He probably videotaped all of the things that happened there and sold it 4 times over. He'd sell it once to the CIA, then he'd sell it to the FBI, then he'd sell it to Mossad, then he'd sell it to a reporter if they had the money. But he probably didn't do the reporters because then he would be, responsible for crimes and stuff like that. So that is what happened all the time. That is why it's interesting. That is why we want to know who did what and where Donnie's name is on this very large list of blanked out forms. I've no doubt Donald's name is here. And it's not going to go away. This Vox article is correct because of all the blacked out, because of all the stuff. We are only now more curious. The ones of those of us that are paying attention. The DOJ is protecting themselves with 500 blanked out pages. The DOJ is protecting Donald Trump because with these 500 blacked out pages, they're protecting themselves. They're protecting the Republicans. They're protecting Donnie. And that only makes me more curious. It makes people who are paying attention more interested and more curious in what's going on and why. What are you hiding behind there? It's creating intrigue, even if it's boring intrigue, even if it's not important, even if those 500 blanked out pages are just really, really, really boring day-to-day stuff. The fact that they're trying to hide it makes people want to see it more. Let's see, what other sources do we have? Did this one have any fun photos? I don't think it does. 5 takeaways from the Justice Department's FBI files. The documents are the result of Congress's forcing the Trump administration's hand. The administration had initially promised extensive disclosures on Epstein, but then, in July, abruptly changed course. Congress ultimately last month passed a bill. The administration failed to follow the law, likely seeding more suspicion. So, yeah, this is true. They didn't unredact everything. They released everything in a piecemeal way. They're putting it out 1 or 2 weeks at a time. Next week, we're going to have more. According to Trump's own attorney, we're going to have more next week and then more the month after that and more the month after that. That's only going to keep the story going. That's only more content for me. That's more stuff for you to look at. That prevents you from forgetting about it, because we're going to get to hear about it again and again and again and again and again and again and again forever. More and more will come out. Yay, more blacked out pages of nothing. Yeah, exactly. Well, some of them, next month, they'll pick 10 of those pages and unblack them out and let out 10 more pages, Then we're going to have 490 blank pages. And then a month after that, they're going to let out 10 more. We're going to have 480 blanked out pages. And I'll just get to keep talking about it. You'll get to keep hearing about it. Let's hack Israel, man. Well, they will release whatever's good for them. Everybody has the files. The DOJ, the American DOJ, has the files unredacted. They know all of this stuff. It's just that they're choosing not to give it out. And even if Israel did release some of the stuff, it would be the things that are beneficial to them. If the FBI releases a thing, it'll be the things that are beneficial to them. That's the entire thing about information, is you release it when it's beneficial to you. So let's see what else we've got. We got after months of the administration stepping on its own toes and making it look like it had something to hide, it did itself a few favors with this rollout. So everyone's more suspicious. Here's Bill Clinton and Ghislaine swimming in a pool. We don't know where, we don't know when, and there's a lady. Is that a grown-up lady? Is that a young lady? We don't know. Is this his own wife? Is that Hillary right there? We don't know. Nobody knows. Probably not. I can't imagine Bill hangs out with Hillary all that often. So who is that? We don't know. Is it important? Maybe not. This might not be anything dangerous at all. A heavy dose of Clinton. Yeah, and the documents were released Friday, while only partially featured a heavy dose of former President Bill Clinton, and the administration took great care to point that out. This is part of the psyop they're running on you right now. All the Clinton photos get released immediately. Everything with Trump gets blacked out. Everything with Clinton gets talked about, so that over the next month, they can hammer him on Fox News, on OAN, on all the right-wing things, on all of the right-wing controlled social media sites. All of them are controlled by right-wing people, conservative people anyway. They can pound on this. They can scream bloody murder about no Trump, no Trump, no Trump, no Trump, all Clinton, all Clinton, all Clinton, all Clinton, as if he runs the entire Democratic Party. He doesn't. Visitors names list. I don't know if I find it. I only have what the internet's popped up at any given moment. So yeah, they're gonna make this about Bill Clinton. They're gonna make this about him only. And then next month, one photo of Trump will come out, and then this will just keep going on forever. A remarkable lack of Trump. Yeah, his name is not in there at all because all of his mentions got blacked out. That's really remarkable how little Trump's name and appearance show up in the first batch of documents, at least the very early reviews. We've seen many pictures of the two with one another previously, and as the Times story recapped, they spent lots of time socializing together in 1990s and early 2000s. Remember we talked about this awful thing with the police report happening in 1996. Donnie kept hanging out with him after that, including a wide variety of attended parties. Wiles referred to them as young playboys at the time. One woman at the Times recalled Epstein introducing himself at one point as Don's best friend. So why isn't he in there? Because they've removed him, obviously. The confirmation that law enforcement was warned very early. Yeah, and they're talking about this thing in 1996 FBI document that I just showed you. We know who the woman is, and we have found her, and she has talked about it. Just to see it in writing and to know that they had this document this entire time and how many people were harmed after that date. Farmer's sister, Annie Farmer, told CNN's Jake Tapper on Friday night, "We've been saying it over and over again, but to see it in black and white that way has been very emotional." Then we've got this slightly misleading photo. So Michael Jackson, who has had an entire history of maybe molesting children, we don't know, hanging out with Bill Clinton in this photo. Now, this looks bad. It looks scary. This looks dangerous. This photo was, let me find the link I have. Here we go. Here we are. Okay. That's just Michael Jackson's kids at a fundraiser. Okay. So it looks bad, and the right wing are going to scream bloody murder about this. But this is a publicly available picture. It was taken in 2003 at a Democrat fundraiser. The faces of Evan Ross, Paris, and Prince Jackson are blurred. Those are just his kids. This is available. We know who these people are. But the Republicans are going to not point at this one. They're going to vaguely point at this photo and tell you the Democrats are evil. And when you tell them that it's a public photo that happened at a Democrat fundraiser, they're going to scream, "Oh, a Democrat fundraiser, right? Did they serve cheese pizza at this Democrat fundraiser? I bet they did. Proof that the Democrats are the problem. Look at them next to these poor innocent trafficked children." Well, no, that's just his kids. He brought them. And then they took a photo. And that is the problem with most of the media today. They are not, they're not sincere. The people who are going to lie to you about this photo, and they're going to over the next couple of months, you're going to see a lot of liars lie about this photo. They know they're lying. They don't care. They don't mind. They like it because it reinforces their narrative. It reinforces their idea of what they want. They will lie to you to get what they want. The FBI will lie to you to get what they want. Pam Bondi will lie to you to get what she wants. Donald Trump will lie to you to get what he wants. You cannot trust any of these people. Where's Obama? Obama never hung out with Jeffrey Epstein. He was not a rich and famous guy. Obama, if you are a fan of his or not, it doesn't matter. He didn't grow up in wealthy New York, you know? I just feel like there's no way of knowing what's real with the Epstein files since they lied so much. Exactly. And that is the issue, Nick. They lie to you so much, and they twist everything. Everything is spun. Everything is pointed into a different direction. Everything is put in a different way. You can't tell what's real or not, which means you draw your own conclusions. If you see these files and you love Donald Trump, you love him even more. There is someone online willing to tell you that this exonerates Donald Trump, and it proves that he's a good guy, and it proves that Democrats are evil. Or you can find someone online who's willing to tell you that this proves Donald Trump is a criminal and proves that the Democrats are good. Someone online will sell you whatever you want to hear. That's the difficulty with online sources, myself included. Am I telling you what you want to hear? I don't know. Maybe. I'm telling you what I think, and I'm being sincere about it. I can promise you that everything that I say is what I'm actually thinking and feeling. He's a war criminal, terrorist, U.S. president. Well, Obama was the drone president, and I'm very unhappy with him. Joe Biden's not in this because he's, again, not a New York filthy, rich, wealthy guy. Biden with children is suspicious, and he had his own issues too. You could say the best visitor's name source list. Okay, I'll look that up. Obama and Biden weren't fancy, important New York wealthy guys. Bill Clinton was a politician. He was a governor of Arkansas. He was a politician since the 80s, man. He was in the room all the time. In the 80s, Obama was still in law school or something. So, like, he never got to that level of prestige. Ben Solomon had a phone. Oh, okay, yeah, probably. He's also filthy rich, wealthy. And he's in the list, yeah. Not surprised. Let's keep reading this other article. I liked what it was saying. The documents continue to turn up more famous people, and they will. Powerful men keep getting wrapped up in these document dumps because he was a blackmailer. He wanted to hang out with famous people, and then once they hung out with him, he demanded that they bring more famous people. And out of the photos dated 2007, Epstein is pictured across the table from Walter Cronkite. Cronkite's name had turned up on the flight logs earlier this year, indicating he traveled to Epstein's private island. He, like Jackson, died in 2009. So, yeah, Walter Cronkite, a very famous newsman. Release of the documents has proven a headache for a number of prominent individuals who turned up in the photos or documents, including Epstein's later years after his plea deal made him a convicted sex offender. If you hung out with him after that, then maybe you're a problem. Bill Clinton is rich before becoming president. He was well known. He wasn't a nobody. Joe Biden was famously called Lunchbox Joe or something like that because he took Amtrak trains from his district to Washington, D.C. He didn't fly on jets. Joe Biden didn't. He took the train because he was poor. Obama was not wildly wealthy before he became the state senator for Illinois. He was just a community organizer. That's what the complaint against him was. When the Republicans, the decent ones, said he doesn't have the experience, he doesn't have the understanding. He was a community organizer. They said that derogatorily. He didn't know anything. He didn't spend 20 years in the Senate before running for president. And that was their complaint about him. He was inexperienced. He was new to the system. So he didn't have time to spend. And he was in Chicago, not New York, which Donnie was a New York guy. So obviously he's going to run into the other New York guy, Epstein. It's crazy what a position of power can do for your bank. Yeah, it can. People will lend you money because you're wealthy. You know, if you got money, you get money. If you have money, you get more. Even as a senator, I think Joe Biden kept taking the train because he wanted to be the common man. Maybe that was an act. Maybe he hated every minute that he was on the Amtrak from Delaware to D.C. Maybe he hated it. I don't know. Maybe he looked down upon the people the entire time. I don't know. But he did it, and he seemed like a normal, regular guy. Victim testimonies, yeah, we can cover some of those too. Andrew really was a monster. Prince Andrew of the royal family was really a monster. He was royalty. He gets to break the rules. He gets to break the law. He's above the common man. He is royalty. He is better than you. That's why I don't like royalty. Had a whole revolution in America about not paying attention to royalty. And he really did feel that he was better than you, and he got to do more, and the rules don't apply to him, so he got to do whatever he wanted. Let's keep going down these things. Let's close that and that. What else we got? What's missing from the Epstein files release? So a lot of information that would help the public understand this case is still under wraps. The Justice Department's long-awaited release on Friday related to the federal government's investigation of Jeffrey Epstein was perhaps most notable for what it lacked: financial records, internal memos from prosecutors who investigated Epstein's alleged sex trafficking ring, key materials obtained from the searches of Epstein's palatial homes. None of it figured prominently in the documents released Friday. So yeah, lots and lots of evidence, records, financial records. I think this is the most important part. Financial records. This is wildly the most important part. Who gave him the money? And I think that's been redacted because it's the American FBI, the American CIA, the Israeli Mossad gave him money for information. And that makes them look bad. Why is the American FBI paying Jeffrey Epstein? Well, it's because he's a spy. Because we ignored his crimes so that he would tattle on the other criminals. That is what we did. And that makes your FBI look bad. Mossad and probably Shin, Chinese, probably. If there's a Chinese, I don't know the name of the Chinese in CIA, but they probably would have paid him because he is a spy. Russian intelligence. What are they called? The Kremlin or something? I don't know. Shin Bet is Israel FBI. Oh, okay. I didn't know what that was. I'd never heard of them. But yeah, they must be doing a good job if I've never heard of them. Clandestine, aren't they? So yeah, everybody who wanted information would just pay him. Russian intelligence, FGB. Okay. And then if China had one, they would have paid him too. They would have. I don't know if they did, but they probably would have. It's an easy thing to do is pay spies. And the financial records are the most important bit that may never be released. Interested in records that would help explain how Epstein grew so wealthy? None to be found. Want to read the emails from federal prosecutors deciding who to charge and, equally importantly, who not to charge during their 2019 investigations? You're out of luck. Curious about the role of Maureen Comey, the prosecutor who co-led the probes into Epstein and his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell before being fired without explanation in July? Nothing to see here. The department was obligated by law to release the entire universe of documents related to Epstein, the late convicted sex offender, and Maxwell, who was convicted of aiding and participating in the sex trafficking ring, by Friday. The tranche made public represented only a fraction of the total material, which the government has said exceeds 300 gigabytes worth of data. This guy, let's find, Robert Garcia, ranking member on the House Oversight Committee, estimated the production only included about 10% of the material in the department's possession. So the things we've seen so far, all of this is 10%, and it's half blocked out. This is 10%, and it's half blacked out, which means we've only got 5% of the information so far by my rough guesstimates. We're only getting 5% so far. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche promised Friday that there's more to come, saying additional responsive materials will be produced as our review continues, consistent with the law and with the protections for the victims. He's lying. He's trying to protect himself. He's trying to protect his boss. He's trying to protect the FBI. The department hasn't provided guidance as to when it plans to release more documents, although Blanche indicated in a letter to Congress that production will be complete by the end of the year. So, okay, we have literally 10 days left in this year? That seems unlikely, but maybe. 5%. Yeah, the most, and they'll tell you that they're the most transparent administration in history. They use that word all the time. Transparent. We've been completely transparent. They have, in the fact that I can see right through them. They're lying. They know they're lying. We all see through it. We know they're transparently lying, obviously lying. I think what's going to happen is over the next, I don't know if you've noticed, but it is Christmas time. We have my wonderful, this is Grumble, the Christmas gnome. I have him riding shotgun with me during the Christmas season. His name is Grumble. He's a Christmas gnome. It is Christmas time. It is actually, in fact, Christmas time, as you can tell by my amazing decorations. It is Christmas time. Most people are going to be busy over the next few days. You got gifts to buy, you got to hang the stockings, you got to fill them with coal, you have to find your children's shoes and fill them with candy and nuts in the traditional way. All the Christmassy things. Your parents are going to come over, your great uncle Sal is going to come by and tell you about how things were better when he was a kid. All the Christmas things, then you're going to have gift cards to spend, and there's going to be a Steam sale. Holy shit, the Steam sale is going to happen. That's always a good time. And then you're going to have to go on to Epic Games and get their free download and stuff like that. And then there's going to be a Christmas thing. Christmas in Gaza is so beautiful. I've never seen anything. If you've got photos, by all means, toss them into the Discord. But yeah, the Christmas time is going to occupy most people's brains. The House and Congress is not in session right now. They're not talking about anything. They're gone at home. They will be back mid-January. Okay? They'll take a couple of weeks into January before they pick back up. And at that time, Pastor Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, is going to tell you He's going to come onto a TV. He's going to be in front of the camera and say that the Epstein files are released completely, thoroughly, and as much as they can be. He will tell you it's done. It's over with. We are moving beyond the Epstein files. All the files are there. You've had them, and they're all there, and you've been reading them since December 19th or whatever, and we're moving on. We're not talking about that anymore. That's the past. We're moving forward. That is what Mike Johnson's going to tell you mid-January. Even if nothing else ever gets released, he will tell you that the 500 blank pages needed to be blanked, and you're ridiculous for asking them to be unblanked. You're the problem, not him, not the FBI, not the district attorney, not Pam Bondi. They're not the problem. They did exactly everything that they were asked to do, and they did it right. And they're fine and great and wonderful. And you're actually the problem for harping on this, for obsessing about this. Maybe the President of the United States raped children. Maybe he did. And you're a bad person for thinking about that, okay? You need to move on. You need to grow up, okay? We have got healthcare to talk about. That is what Mike Johnson is going to tell you in mid-January. I am predicting things. I often do predict what's going to happen in the future, and that is what's going to happen. He's going to come onto the TV. He's going to tell you that all the Epstein files are done with. Everything is over. Yeah, that Democrat said that it's 10%, but he just wants to put nasty videos out onto the TV so that he can cry about it. That's what he's going to say. He's going to complain about Robert Garcia saying that only 10% is out. He's going to say that he's wrong. Ro Khanna, also a representative who is in the same house as Pastor Mike Johnson, who's going to lie to you about this. One of the sponsors of the bill ordering the department to make the documents public told reporters he was disappointed in the quantity of files made public by the Justice Department and pushed for federal officials who set a clear timeline for the release of all the remaining documents. This may not ever happen. Here is this guy.
So the review will continue. They're now saying they're going to try to get these documents over the next few weeks. Our initial estimation, and again, this is our estimation right now, it could be that we're only getting about 10% of what the DOJ likely has. And of that 10%, 5% of that has already been released, and the other 5% is highly redacted. So we're getting very little so far. We hope to get more in the days ahead. But this is Pam Bondi. Donald Trump should release all the files today and immediately.
They're still covering it up. So this is that Ro Khanna? Yeah. Representative Ro Khanna sounded the alarm late Friday night over two crucial documents that are missing from the Justice Department's release of the files of Jeffrey Epstein. So missing. He knows that they are supposed to be released, and they haven't been. He knows and are held by the agency and described as the most important. What we found out is that most important documents are missing. They've had excessive redactions, and the central questions that Americans want to know, who are the other rich and powerful men on the island raping these young girls, has not been answered. The DOJ released thousands of files Friday. Among those withheld files, Khanna claims are two documents that he said the law was explicitly written to apply to: criminal indictment of Epstein, drafted before he was given his sweetheart deal in the late 2000s, and an 82-page DOJ memo of Epstein's alleged crimes. An 82-page memo. Boss, they found all his crimes. They summed them up, and it was 82 pages long. I don't know about you. I think my entire life could be summed up in less than 82 pages. If you wrote the Waldo autobiography, it might be less than 82 pages. I'm very boring. I haven't done that much. But this fool has 82 pages of straight up crimes. That's not good. I don't want 82 pages of crimes. And that is what apparently this guy has seen. Ro Khanna is in the government, so he has access to some of these things. And he saw the 82-page crime novella and wanted it released so that you could see it. And when it didn't pop out this past Friday, he's upset that it's not there. So he's going to keep harping on about it. Ro Khanna is going to continue to tell you that it's important and that it needs to be released. And Mike Johnson and the Republicans are going to tell you that it's not important and it doesn't need to be released, and everything is already released and you need to move on. So that is the fake argument we're going to have in January. Ro Khanna is going to say, release the files. Mike Johnson is going to be saying, we already did. We did it. We already did the files. We already released them, and you didn't like it. You just didn't get the thing that you wanted to see, which was a smoking gun telling you that Donald Trump is bad. Orange Man bad is what you wanted, and you didn't get it, and so now you're just being a bitch. That's what he's going to say. Mike Johnson is going to say. He's going to use stupider words. He's going to use less. He's going to use disingenuous words to tell you that that's what's going on. And he's going to try and move beyond it. He's going to try and move past it. What else do we have? And here is Politico telling you what's missing. So yeah, what is missing from the Epstein files? A lot of information that would help the public understand the case is still under wraps. So yeah. Financial records. Yeah, we already looked at this one, didn't we? Okay. They're delusional if they think this is going to go away. The Trump administration releases the long-awaited Epstein files didn't prove what survivors were looking for. So maybe this goes away, maybe it doesn't. I think the Republicans are going to try and make it go away, and the Dems are going to kind of try and keep it up in the air and a relevant thing so that people remember when the midterms come along. Will they remember? Yes, I think so. Will this go away? No. This is still going to be up in the air, but depending on how much up in the air it is. How important is it in the normal people's daily news feed? Will it be in there? Jeffrey Epstein's victims began the day believing they might finally get something they'd been requesting for years, a direct conversation with the nation's top law enforcement official, before the Justice Department made a public full trove of long-buried documents and photos. The release of the Epstein files and the department's hundreds of thousands of investigative materials have come to be known might finally provide clarity on what the government knew about Epstein's sex trafficking scheme and when it knew it. And this is why they can't let you know. This is why they can't tell you about it, because the government knew. The government was not directly involved in the crimes. They were just paying him for information about the people doing the crimes, which means you have to let them do the crimes. So that is the difficult position that the government is in. Does the FBI want you to know that they pay spies and then allow the spies to keep doing crime? They don't want you to know that. Angela Jolie is, maybe, we're not sure. Is she in the files? She's a very famous and important person and has been seen in photos with him. So I don't know. There's no, I haven't seen any evidence to suggest that she is. Yeah, so there's that. Let's see, what else is there to think about and talk about? Okay, so she's going to tell you what happens next. I haven't read this one yet, so I don't know what it says, but what happens next? I also have here guesstimates and predictions to make about what's next. Trump's MAGA base has certainly enjoyed embarrassing photos of Democrat elites from heavily redacted files, but they want transparency too. Ever since President Trump returned to the White House, his supporters have been clamoring for the release of the Epstein files. During the 2024 presidential campaign, when asked on Fox News he would declassify the Justice Department's documents on the disgraced financier, he said yes. Only months into his second term, he proved rather reluctant to do so. It eventually took a vote in Congress to force his hand and mandate the Department of Justice to release the files within 30 days. You know, transparency. He promises transparency. I say it all the time, and then he won't release the information, and then Congress forces him to, and 500 pages are blacked out, and he releases only 10% of it. You know, transparency. Despite the legal order by Congress to release all the files by Friday, Trump administration held some back. Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, said he would release several hundred thousand documents today, with more to come over the next couple of weeks. So I don't believe him, but that's not to say that the files have nothing in them. Several victims have praised the release. They're playing disturbing discoveries on examples of how Epstein drew the rich and powerful into his orbit. When it comes to presidents, rather than Trump, it is Bill Clinton who fares the worst. The 42nd president pictured many times with both Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, as well as Michael Jackson and women who have had their faces redacted from the photographs. One particularly startling image, Clinton lies in a hot tub with a woman whose head has been redacted. Yeah, so we don't know who is there. And then they hung out. And let's see. And then we got Richard Branson, also a noted sex pest, if I remember correctly, with some ladies in the background. Maybe he's just partying. Maybe he's having a good time. We don't know because they're blanking everything out. It's weird. Mick Jagger, Branson, Lord Mandelson. I don't know who Lord Mandelson is. Diana Ross, Sarah Ferguson, Andrew Montbont Windsor. That's Prince Andrew. The royal he has denied any wrongdoing. Whoa, that's a lie. While the others have not been accused of any wrongdoing. So they haven't been accused of doing anything wrong. Just knowing the guy and meeting him isn't a crime. He's going to try and get you to do crimes. He's going to offer you a bunch of crimes, and maybe you say no. Pictures of Trump can be found seen filling a drawer in a desk on Epstein's property. Meanwhile, court documents allege that Epstein brought a 14-year-old girl to Mar-a-Lago to meet him. Okay. Introducing a 14-year-old Jane Doe to Donald Trump. Epstein elbowed Trump, playfully asking him, referring to the lady, "This is a good one, right?" Trump smiled and nodded in agreement. They both chuckled, and Doe felt uncomfortable, but at the time was too young to understand why. Trump has denied wrongdoing, so he elbowed him and said, "Ain't that a good-looking 14-year-old?" And Donnie smiled and nodded. Okay, that's not a crime. It's weird and creepy, but it isn't yet a crime, and anything that is anything more crimeful than that, they have blacked out, I suspect. There's old MJ. And that's all for this. So yeah, most of this stuff. Do you want my Michael Jackson tinfoil hat theory? So I've got my tinfoil hat. Let's talk about tinfoil hat stuff. I don't think anything I've said so far has been tinfoil hat adjacent.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
You know about it. You just turned a frog gay. I hope you're proud of yourself. I hope you're proud of what you have just done. You just turned a frog gay. Okay? I hope you're proud. Thanks, I appreciate it. Every little follow helps. Every little person who clicks those buttons is good for me because I'm such a small streamer. So I've got my tinfoil hat on. Let's talk about tinfoil hat stuff. I think that, and this is a conspiracy theory that I've heard in the past. Michael Jackson was a famous child star. He sang a song. It was very good. It was very high pitched. If you've heard the song, ABC 1 2 3, easy as ABC 1 2 3. You know, he is a child when he sang that song, and that made them famous and lots of money. He began, as most children do, to get older. He got older. That means that he went and his voice started to crack. His voice started to change and become deeper. And he wasn't pretty anymore. He didn't look like a child. He didn't have that high-pitched voice any longer. He started puberty, which is normal. He got pimples. He got facial hair, you know. He started to become a man. This isn't good for his singing career. So I think, and this is all my tinfoil hat theory, his parents chemically castrated him. They gave him a cocktail of medicine from a doctor to make it to where he would not go through puberty. They blocked it for him forever. They castrated him chemically with a cocktail of medicines to make it where he never got to go through puberty. He never got to grow up. And then we have this weird time after he sang that one very famous song as a child until he was a later teenager into his 20s. He kind of disappeared for a while. And he came back looking weird because his body did not go through the normal adultification that normal people go through. This kept his high-pitched voice. That kept him looking like a child. This kept him looking like a kid rather than an adult. He never grew the facial hair. That's why when you watch him in like Billie Jean, if you think about that music video, he kind of still looks like a kid, doesn't he? When he does Smooth Criminal, he looks like a kid. This broke his brain. Sorry, but it did. And he just acted like a child all the time, which is why he hung out with the children all the time. He was one in his broken brain. And that is my thing. Was he doing weird things? Yes, because he's weird. His parents broke his brain, and he never got to grow up, and he never got to be an adult. So it was very disturbing. It broke his brain, and he can't act normal because he's been wildly famous, wildly influential, wildly popular, and wildly rich since he was a child, and he never got to stop being a child. So that's my tinfoil hat theory guesstimate on why MJ was the way he was. So we can close that one. I'll take the hat off. Okay, so Trump administration turns Epstein files into WikiLeaks 2.0. The full transfer documents will be released sporadically, so it's just going to come out a little bit at a time. The Trump administration has transformed the release of the Epstein files into the 2025 version of WikiLeaks, a slow drip document dump that could threaten a long list of Washington's power players. And with each newly published trench, a frenzied press corps will pore over every word for clues about the world leaders, corporate executives, and Wall Street titans who helped the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein grow and maintain his influence. So this is not going to go away. The news loves this shit, and they are going to keep digging in. They're going to wait and come back every week. Every week there's a new document released. Front page news again, front page news again, front page news next week. Trump Epstein, Trump Epstein, Trump Epstein forever. Trump Epstein story will never die. The Trump Epstein cover-up will never end. It'll be 2032 and we'll still get headlines about the Trump Epstein cover-up. It'll still keep happening forever. We will never stop talking about this. So that's what he already said. The Daily Drip is a remarkable result of President Donald Trump, who has urged his allies to move past the Epstein files, prompting jeers from Democrats who say he's trying to conceal details about his own longtime relationship with Epstein. Trump has maintained for years that he and Epstein had a falling out years ago, well after 1996, when he was reported to the FBI, and no evidence has suggested that Trump took part in Epstein's trafficking operation. Trump advocated for the release of the files only after Republicans in Congress rebuffed his initial pleas to keep them concealed. A law passed by Congress in November requires the release of the Epstein files by December 19th, but DOJ's review process ensures that the deadline is only the beginning. So yeah, more and more and more and more of these will come out over the next few weeks, maybe months, maybe years, when Ro Khanna sues again after the midterms. It might just get worse. And they might release 10% more, and then 10% again the next month after that. Let's see. We got some more Bill photos. We saw that one. See, and this might be an adult lady. Okay, this doesn't look good. Jeffrey Epstein blackmails you. He says, "I will release this photo if you don't come visit me, if you don't give me some money, if you don't bring your chief of staff or somebody who you worked with." Remember one time, Bill Clinton, you worked with this one politician? Invite them on my plane or I will release this photo. And so Bill Clinton does it. And now the new politician that he brought with him is on the plane and gets blackmailed, Is there any other photos? Okay, I think that's it for those. Let's see if we got these. So we saw that. And we saw this. Okay, so I think that is everything about that is up in the air right now. Shit. I was clicked on the wrong button again. This was the one I was talking about. So I keep getting it backwards. This is the photo of Bill Clinton right here with the lady. That might be an adult lady, Maybe she did this for fun and had a great time. Maybe she's entirely normal and not at all traumatized by sitting on Bill Clinton's chair armrest. Or maybe she hated it. Or maybe she was paid to sit here. I don't know. We don't know. So let's see.
Hello again, human. It is me, the algorithm. Press the thumbs up button to experience human feelings.
So what does happen in the future? What will happen next? A lot of normies will just do Christmas as normal and then move on. Yanaboda, you're not, Yanobida, you're not normal. I'm sorry to let you know this. You're watching politics streams. You're not a normie. Anybody watching a political streamer is not normal. I say that to my audience all the time. The normies, the middle of the road, the people in the middle who get one news headline a week will move on from this. They will forget that half the pages were blacked out. They will just pay attention to the next big story, maybe. They get one headline a week. The normies in the middle of the country, they still think CNN is a solid place to get your information. They're going to move on from this. And then next month, when Congress comes back into session and Ro Khanna and that other guy from Texas scream about how they need to release the rest of the Epstein files, Mike Johnson will tell them that they're over-exaggerating. They already got the Epstein files and everything is fine, and move on. Ro Khanna will demand that the rest of the files be released unredacted. And the Democrats will remind people, as best they can, that of all those redactions and demand the rest of the files be released. But Dems don't control the narrative. They never have in our country. Conservative owners of news stations control the narrative. Trump's friends, who own every social media site in the world, control the narrative. So they decide what we talk about at any given time. I follow the news, I follow the politics, I look at the things. But the vast majority of people only hear what their preferred algorithm gives them. And conservative right-wing people control the algorithms. Right-wing people own Fox News. They own OAN. Elon Musk is a downright Nazi. He is helping every Republican get elected. As much money as he can dumped into their politics. And his algorithm on X.com, formerly Twitter, pushes right-wing agenda all day, every day, even while I'm asleep. There's a right-wing agenda being pushed by the Twitter algorithm. Facebook, dominated by boomers, is a conservative company. They want to make money. And if you make more money by supporting Trump, then they'll support Trump. They don't care. Russia recognizes all these ideas and is gaming the algorithm to help themselves as well, pushing to help Trump because they can control Trump a little bit better. The owners of CNN are conservatives. They want to make money. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about the reality. They don't care about telling you true things. They care about soda commercials. They care about commercials for the latest drugs that you have to ask your doctor about. Clotrexazole. That's what they care about. The billions of dollars that the big pharma is going to give them to show TV commercials of people laughing and running through a field and talking about how much they love clotrexazole. They love it. That's the money. That's their job. It's not to inform you. It's not to bring you information. It's not to tell you what's going on. It's to make money on TV commercials. That's what they do. And so they make more money on TV commercials if you come back every couple of months to talk about these Epstein files. But not if, and maybe they would make a lot of money on TV if Donald Trump is being impeached. That would make a lot of money. So they just want spectacle. They don't care what's true. They don't care what's real. They're not about getting justice. They're about spectacle. And generally, they lean right. CNN leans right. They do. Even the owners of MSNBC, who lean Democrat, are conservatives. They need to make money. They need to make money. And that's why it's difficult to find news and information and stuff like that, is because so much of it leans to the right, and anything that doesn't lean to the right is leaning to the left intentionally and willingly, like to counterbalance it. It's difficult and it's tricky. What is going to happen in the future? That's what the hell I was supposed to be talking about. Like I said, mid-January, House comes back. Ro Khanna is going to demand more releases. Mike Johnson's going to say, we did the release. It's over. Move on. You got what you wanted. Let's talk about something else. And then he's going to complain in front of the TV. I want to talk about healthcare for the American people. And Ro Khanna wants to talk about the Epstein files that did get released and show information from 1997. We don't care about 1997. We care about the people who are paying healthcare premiums tomorrow. He's going to try and judo flip and make everybody stop paying attention to it. Will that work? Maybe. For a portion of the right wing, that's going to work. For the portion of the center-right voters in the middle of America, that's going to work. They don't pay that close attention anyway. They're not watching YouTube streamers. They're not watching live streams. They're not watching people really get down into the weeds on what politics really is. They don't know what politics is. They can't comprehend it anyway. So they're not going to be paying attention. When the midterms pop up, and they will, I've made this prediction before, but bear with me as I make it again. ICE is going to be at polling places in parts of the country that have Latino constituents. They're going to be in those places. They're going to be in those neighborhoods questioning people as they go to vote in the 2026 midterms. That's going to be November, so it's a year from now. But as early voting begins in October and stuff like that, ICE will be mobilized. They will be there questioning the people standing in line to vote, demanding immigration paperwork of people born in America. If your name is Juan Hernandez and you were born in Phoenix, Arizona, you have a social security number, your parents were born in Phoenix, Arizona, you go to vote. ICE agents are going to stop you by the look of your skin, by the name that you give them. They're going to assume that you are a fake immigrant voter. And Mr. Juan Hernandez is going to tell them, I was born in Phoenix, Arizona. Here's my social security card. They're going to demand his immigration paperwork. He doesn't have any. He was born in America. He's an American citizen. And if he gives them any grief, if he flips them off, if he yells at them, if he calls them fascist, if he tells them to go away and shut up, they will tackle him to the ground. They will pepper spray him. They will attack him, and they will drag him off to a gulag. And then all the other people in line won't stand for it. They will yell at them, and then they will get tackled. And then they will tell them that they're fascist, and then they will get tackled. And then they'll yell at them, and they'll record them with their phones, and they will tell all the ICE agents that are there that they're doing illegal things. And that they will also get tackled, pepper sprayed, tear gassed, and dragged off to a gulag. Lots of people will see this happening and run away from the poll. They won't get to vote because ICE is pepper spraying everybody who's in line and has a brown face. And then the local police will show up, and the local police might start fighting with ICE. Are you going to stand around in line to vote if ICE is pepper spraying the local police, and the local police are trying to get ICE to stand down, and there's tear gas everywhere? Of course not. You're not going to vote. You're going to leave because you can't spend a weekend in jail. You'll lose your job. If I spent a week in jail, I would lose my job. I would not have a job anymore, even if it was completely not my fault and no charges are ever filed on me. People who are in the lowest of the low, the minimum wage jobs, don't just get to stop showing up for a week. They don't get to call in and say, hey, I tried to vote. I got pepper sprayed. They put me in the gulag. I'll be in next week. They'll lose their job. They're done. They're out. They're over. And in fear of losing their job and losing, or spending a week in jail or getting pepper sprayed or tear gas, they won't vote. They'll run away. And that is voter interference. That is going to happen a year from now, in November of 2026. That's what's going to happen. And the National Guard will be standing around chasing and scaring people. They'll be standing by, doing nothing, but that's still scary to some people. Seeing an armed National Guardsman outside the polling place makes you not want to go there. This will be voter intimidation. This will be voter interference, vote interference. The Democrats will talk about this. And the Democrats will still win. The Democrats will still win, I think, in 2026, depending on the severity of this problem. If it happens in one place, the Democrats still win. If it happens in 100 places, the Democrats still barely win. If it happens in 1,000 places, the Democrats might not win. And they will claim that it's a crime and stuff like that. And if we only get a little bit, if we only get a little bit of voter intimidation, a little bit of voter obstruction from ICE, if we only get a little bit, the Dems will scream about it. The right will scream about it, but the same way. They'll both use the same video. The Dems will have this video of ICE tackling a guy and saying he's interfering with the voting process. The Republicans will show you the same video and say ICE is stopping an illegal from voting. Same video. And they'll say, look at that heroic ICE agent tackling an illegal immigrant trying to vote. It won't be true, but they don't need truth on their side. They have feelings on their side, and they feel like anybody with the name Juan Hernandez should not be allowed to vote. That's how Republicans feel. The law doesn't back them up, but that's what they feel. Any black and brown people shouldn't vote. They shouldn't be allowed because America's a white Christian nation, and those people aren't white Christians, so they don't get to vote. That's how they feel. That's how they think. That's how they feel. So if we get a little bit of that, the Dems win. They impeach Donald Trump. Absolutely, that's going to happen. If they have the House and they have the Senate, January of 2027, they will be sworn in. They immediately impeach Donald Trump. That is, depending on how much voter intimidation happened and how that impeachment goes, it might turn into civil war at this point. That is where our civil war happens. January of 2027, when around 1 year from now, we will see the beginnings of our civil war. How much voter intimidation is there? How many ICE agents are at the polls? How many people get hammered at the polls? How many people get pepper sprayed at the polls? How many votes get lost because the National Guard is standing outside the polling place, preventing people from voting? How much cheating the Republicans do? How much gerrymandering happens in the next year? These are all still up in the air. We don't know how that stuff's going to go down. But if there's a lot of it and the Republicans lose the House and the Senate, they will impeach Donald Trump, and he will go onto the TV and he will look into that camera and he will tell you that illegals voted for the Democrats. He will tell you that without any evidence, without any facts, without anything to back it up. He will tell you that millions and millions and millions of illegal people voted for the Democrats and he did not lose the midterms, and he will refuse. He will tell the House to refuse to put those people into power. He will tell the Senate not to swear in the Democrats. That begins our civil war. And if he's obviously lying, the House and the Senate go on without him. If he's just rambling like a lunatic, they might do the 25th Amendment and dump him before he can be impeached. Entirely possible. J.D. Vance does want that job. J.D. Vance, Jonathan Vance, does actually, in fact, want to run the 25th Amendment against Donald Trump and get rid of him and become the president himself. He just doesn't want to do it too soon, you see. You're allowed to, most people would think that you're only allowed to be president for 8 years because you only have 2 terms. But you can actually spend 10 years as president if you remove the president through the 25th Amendment 2 years into his term. You can spend 2 years as president, as Jan Stance Vance wants to. Then you can run. Then you can run again, being 4 years, 2 years, equaling 10 years. He wants that. He wants to be the 10-year president. He really does. So, and that's when things really get spicy. I know everything's spicy right now. Everything's spicy and exciting at the moment with all of this shit going on. But that is what we have to look forward to. So stick around, hop into chat, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling, become a follower, press the button, go on over to my YouTube videos, over to my YouTube page, and follow me there because I turn all of these live streams into shortened down, more streamlined videos. So I talk into the camera for a couple of hours, then I edit it and cut out all the odd pauses and the weird burps and stuff like that. And then I turn it into a YouTube video and I post those up over there as well. So going over to YouTube, give me a like, give me a follow. The YouTube algorithm is powered by hatred. So go on over there, spread some hatred over to YouTube. Smash the thumbs up button, break the bell, spread some hatred of anyone, anything in the comments. That will help my algorithm boost up anywhere. You can hate Star Wars, you can hate Donald Trump, you can hate Obama, and it will power my algorithm because the YouTube algorithm is powered by hatred. So the more you hate anything, the more they like me. It's a very strange metric, but it does seem to be true.
Click on this video link to appease the many AI overlords.